Today I'm going to be making some pickled asparagus, which is both the most delicious way to eat asparagus and also the best thing that you could ever possibly pickle. I've got about 7 pounds of asparagus and 6 pickling jars, 2, 4, 6, I can count, and a water bath canner set up over here. So the first step is going to be to wash the asparagus and also trim it so that it fits into the jars, leaving a half an inch at the top. So I'm going to do that. A lot of cleaned asparagus, a bit of a bamboo skewer, like just some little stick that's the size of the jar, less, a little more than half an inch. And I'm using those as a guide to show me how much of the asparagus to chop off. So, like, yay much. One hand. So this should be the appropriate size asparagus to fit in the jar. So I'm reserving that. And I'm chopping through all of it at once. It should be noted that this asparagus certainly has a lot more asparagus that we can pull from it that's still like tender. Of course, the tip is fibrous and it not really that good to eat, but I'll be coming back here later, I hope, and retrieving some of the asparagus from that to have in a non-pickling application. But these, the best bits, they're getting saved in my jars. Doo-doo, like so. Asparagus is trimmed. Those are the extras. In the oven, I have like some hot water with the jars. The jars need to be like sterilized and kept warm. That's the way that I'm doing it. Here I've got the water bath canner like filled with some water. I haven't boiled it yet. We have two things that need to happen before that. The first is that I need to get a pot of brine boiling hot. The brine is going to consist of equal parts vinegar and water, and then a third of a cup of pickling salt. I'm actually going to increase the amount of brine by 50%, so that I'm sure that I have enough. I don't think it's actually a problem, but so I'm sure that I have enough, and I can make some quick pickled onions at the end if I don't. So make the brine is one thing, and then gathering, I'm going to measure out the herbs that are needed for each of the jars. Because I gotta like take the hot jar out and then put the spices in, and I wanna kind of streamline the process. So I'm gonna put in some bay leaf into each jar, some pepper flakes, some mustard seed, some dill. I don't have fresh, but dried dill will do, and some garlic off screen. So I'm gonna start by bringing the brine to the boil. That needs to happen. Nothing like the smell of a simmering vinegar brine. It's worth it. Okay, so I've got all of the herbs measured out, so the operation is gonna look like this. I've got these hot jars here in this water. They'll be perfectly fine. I take one out. I'm going to put the herbs in there. Can I do it one-handed? Oh, probably not. That will be a mess. I put the herbs in there, and then I'm going to pack them as much as I can with the asparagus, tip side down. And hopefully there should be about half an inch worth of space at the top. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do all of that in one go. After that's done, all 6 jars are filled with asparagus. I'm going to ladle the brine over it and then seal the jars. And then we'll go to the water bath canner. So that's what the situation looks like so far. Okay, I've packed these jars as tightly as possible, using up all of the asparagus, just basically the perfect amount. It was 4 bunches, which is 7 pounds of asparagus for these 6 pint jars, and there's left a 1/2 inch room, and now I'm going to ladle brine over them, leaving a 1/4 inch room on top. And then I will take these new jar lids, and once the brine's in, I'll cap them off. I'll give them a wipe down, make sure there's no liquid on the surface, and then I'll cap them off, seal them up, and then we'll be ready to water bath can. Are my asparagus all jarred up. I made sure to leave a 1/4 inch room of brine between the surface of the water and the top of the jars. And before I put the lids on, I made sure to go around the rim and to wipe off any liquid or debris or anything. Okay, so now I'm going to take these over to the water bath canner, and I'm going to pick them up and with this handy tool and put them in the boiling water to seal. Okay, so in the boiling water you go. Ooh. Okay, those are all in, and I'm unimpressed with this rack, and also this bubbling that's coming out. I'm not sure if that's natural. I guess maybe it is. The gases inside are being allowed to escape. I'm not so sure. We'll see how it goes. But also, they're not being held perfectly vertical, so I'm unimpressed with this wire rack. But they're completely submerged, and so I'm going to bring this back to the rolling boil and let these can for 15 minutes, at which point I'll remove them. 15 minutes has elapsed. Woo! Still boiling, which is good. Okay, well, none of them exploded or nothing, so that's a good sign. So I remove these, and then I have to let them cool undisturbed for 12 hours. And then they need to rest for about 6 weeks to develop their flavor. But after this initial 12 hours, I'll check to make sure that they formed a good seal. And I guess I could turn this off by now. So, mostly a success, I think. Ooh. I heard some devious sounds from that one, so we'll see. Next day, and they all seem to have sealed successfully, so take off the top ring and inspect. It should not depress at the top, and I apply a little pressure, and it's very clear that that has formed a good seal. One thing that I noticed that I haven't had problems with before is that the brine seems to have come out, and there's a ring of salt around the rim of this. I don't imagine that's actually going to be a problem, but I'll probably eat that one first. How you make pickled asparagus. Thanks, Grandma Jeannie, for the recipe, and I'll include the text for the recipe in the video description.